Especially because we got the two greatest words in sports. For the 153rd time in NBA history, there was a Game 7, winner take all in H-Town here. And Buddy Hield, he knew the drill. He comes into Game 7 after going scoreless, 0 of 4 shooting in Game 6. But it's not Ghostbusters, Shanae. Who are you going to call?
The Zone Busters. Because whenever, and Danny, the reason why he's laughing is because he himself was one. I think he was 5 for 6 against the zone defense, but there was a certain moment. First of all, we have to admire Steph, no look pass. And like the window to knock down the shot, that's how much he was in the zone as a Busters. But watching this game as a Houston Rockets fan, I knew this was the moment we probably were going to lose.
When he pulled up from the logo like
back-to-back threes. I saw this, I was like, oh, it's his night. It's going to be a long one for us.
So the Warriors up 8 and Hield was still on one, Andrea.
You can't say enough about Buddy Hield, and it's the attention that Steph Curry gets from the defense. Look, 2 defenders locked in on where Steph Curry is. Who's wide open? Buddy Hield, and he makes the Rockets pay. Great contest by Dylan Brooks, doesn't matter. Again, Stephen Curry, look, bringing the ball down. Van Fleet is just going to turn his head because that's the attention Stephen Curry draws. And who's open on the wing? Buddy Hield. He made them pay time and time again. 9 of Golden State's 18 made threes came at the hands of Buddy Hield.
And then about a minute later here, Jimmy Butler drives, finds Hield. How much do you think it hurt him to have to pass to Buddy there? Especially because it made history. He made 6 threes in the first half. That's the most in a first half of any Game 7 in NBA history. And finally, remember, Curry, he only had 3 points in the first half here. Finally able to see one go through here, Dan.
But he did so many other things that set the table for them. You know, he was a key factor, especially rebounding the ball with that small ball lineup.
You see how much sort of attention he drew as well to get someone like Buddy Hield open, and Buddy made them pay. But then Steph's like, all right, enough of this. It's Game 7. I had 50 the last outing. I got to show you what I got here, Shanae.
I mean, this was wild if you think about Steph. Once he gets comfortable, you remember that shot he made earlier? I was in the building Game 1 when he silenced the entire arena. But what I love is the fact that he was able to do all the other things first. He attacked the basket. He defended. He challenged his teammates, and they responded, in the words of Perk, in great fashion.
And then under 3 to play here, puts the moves on Jalen Green.
In trouble. He started screaming in the camera.
It ended up being a 14-point fourth quarter for Curry.
No tears for Cannon. No tears.
Not in this one.
Not this game.
And then I love this. It's not a night-night for himself. It's a night-night for Buddy Hield. 33 points on the evening for Buddy. The Warriors take Game 7, 103-89. Draymond Green loving it after the game. Take a listen.
We know what it takes, baby. Surprise! Surprise! Oh.
Great job by everybody on the team except Buddy. Is Buddy included tonight? 33 points.
I played the 5th.
48 minutes, toughness, grit. That's why you guys have hung banners, and you new guys, you're learning from these guys. Let's keep this thing rolling.
Here's the thing. The Rockets had all the momentum. It felt like Shanae was always saying that the Rockets were playing with house money heading into Game 7. How did the Warriors pull this off, DG?
I mean, it came down to the 3-point line, honestly. The Rockets were 6 for 18, and 3 of those threes in the last 2 minutes. So realistically, they were lower than 30% for most of the game. The Warriors had 18. Buddy, 9 of those himself. Steph came alive in the second half. And that's the thing that Perk said about before the series started. He said, Houston doesn't scare me because they don't shoot the 3-ball well enough, and it came back to haunt them.
18 made threes, just 6 for Houston. But for me, when you talk about Draymond Green being a star in his role, Jimmy Butler being playoff Jimmy within his role, and Buddy Hield knocking down shots, the pieces that the Warriors have. This is why they got Jimmy Butler. This is also why they got Buddy Hield to knock down threes. It all came together in Game 7.
Yeah, this is Golden State. I call it 3.0 because 1.0 is Splash Bros, Draymond, right? 2.0, you add KD. This is 3.0, the third iteration of what they've done. And you've seen the strength in numbers. Jimmy Butler has 7 assists. Steph drops 19 of his 22 in the second half. Draymond holds his opponents to 3 of 17, giving you DPOY types of effort. That was on help side. This right here is the matchup. He held Alperen Şengün to 2 of 8 shooting from the field. I mean, talking about sliding those puppies, being vertical, I know he gets technicals. I know he gets flagrants, but that right there was defensive perfection. And again, we're talking about help side, how committed he is to not only shadow the ball, but also get back to his matchup.
Yeah.
You look at the Golden State Warriors, and of course he's gonna do something different as well.
Of course.
You look at the Golden State Warriors, these may not be
antics.
the same guys that we got used to a decade ago.
Right.
But they have the same core principles, different pieces, same results.
Danny says antics. I say intangibles, right? That's a Draymond Green phrase. It's the intangibles.
I'm going to call it shenanigans.
Shenanigans. I need to be stopped. But he calls a meeting the night before. That's what Buddy Hield says after the game, that Draymond and Steph Curry and and Jimmy Butler say, okay, we know we weren't at our best in Game 6. We are the more seasoned team, if you will. We need to be able to turn it up in Game 7, and that's exactly what they did. I don't know how Draymond found this flagrant foul, technical foul loophole here.
How he found it?
Yeah, but it still
how
feels...
it found him?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one, chicken and the egg there, but it feels like it's really the intangibles that set Draymond Green apart.
100%. And it started with Steph Curry. You know, we all know Steph for a three-point shooter and how much attention he draws offensively.
Yeah.
But he led the team in every statistical category. Yeah. He rebounded the ball. He assisted the ball. He also got steals. He did all the little things, set the table. In the first half, he didn't have it going, but he gave himself up, allowed Buddy to shine and thrive in that zone. You can't play a zone, you have shooters like that on the floor. But he allowed Buddy to lead the team the first half. Second half, took over. You know, it was his time. But he did everything else that he needed to do. Everybody's worried about his thumb being swollen, but he rebounded, he assisted, he made steals, deflections, all those little things to make sure that they won this Game 7.
And now they have a quick turnaround. They are hopping on a flight as we speak to head to Minnesota and see Anthony Edwards. And here's the thing, Ant has made a habit of eliminating legends. He knocked out KD, Jokic, and LeBron in the first 3 playoff series wins of his career. Exactly. Now he has a shot at Steph Curry in the second round this season. But remember this, back in 2023, Ant, he did some foreshadowing. Take a listen.
What are you looking forward to most of this upcoming season?
Definitely going back to the playoffs and going further in the playoffs to go versus the Warriors. I want to play the Warriors. I want to get to the Warriors. Wherever they at, I want to get to them.
Got you. Why the Warriors so much?
I mean, because Draymond talks so much trash. That's pretty much the only reason.
So what he's saying is, Warriors, come out to play!
Wow, you were too good at that.
Yeah.
The Wolves are the favorites in this series against Golden State. This is all according to ESPN Bet Sportsbook. In just the third series, pitting a 6 seed against a 7 seed since seeding began in '84. But it feels like, so the Rockets, right? They had a ton of success with that double big lineup against the Golden State Warriors. Minnesota has a better double big lineup that they can deploy. What's the key to this one going to be?
It's going to be height, honestly, in size and versatility. That's something that the Rockets lacked in certain positions where they have offensive liabilities. Well, no, they've got plenty of guys, the Timberwolves, that can play on both sides. And if you look at the starting lineup. It's 6'2", 6'4", 6'4", 6'7", and 6'6", and they're being kind to a couple of them on the Warriors side. T-Wolves, 6 foot. Okay, you give that. Ant 6'3", but then you have 6'9", 6'9", 7'1", and that 6'9" in the middle between McDaniels and Randall. Those are the guys that can be versatile and switch on the perimeter. And on top of it, they're also giving you great minutes as, I don't even want to say role players. What's the difference between a role player and someone who's like breaching all-star with their production over the last 2 weeks? That's what Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle have been. They have been consistent in their roles, and that's why they look to see if their advantage can actually come through. But lastly, I'll say this, Danny. You said something here. If the NBA is Game of Thrones, then Anthony Edwards is Jaime Lannister. He is the Kingslayer.
Really? Okay.
I'm going to make an admission.
I thought you said Jon Snow.
I've never seen King of Thrones.
King of Thrones.
I'm like about to walk out of here.
Do I need to?
My God.
After the playoffs. After the playoffs.
Okay, so that's going to be my binge. But is it going to scare me? You guys know that I don't like scare.
You got scared from sinners.
You may need to like stop the second or third episode, but then we'll get you back.
All right. I just needed to know. Okay, continue, Andre.
Well, you talk about Minnesota and their size, and I understand all of that, but they are still going to have to keep up with the movement of Steph Curry. They're going to have to figure out a way to slow down Steph Curry, because I'm watching clips from Stephen Curry against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's scoring on everybody. He's getting around Jaden McDaniels. When Julius Randle's in the ball screen, he's getting around Julius Randle. He's shooting over Rudy Gobert. I know the Minnesota Timberwolves have a ton of size. Steph Curry has put up 3 30-pieces. Out of the 4 games that he has seen Minnesota, he's put up 30 3 times, and those 3 games were wins. They're going to have to slow him down.
Yes, for sure. And you mentioned Rudy Gobert. He's the key for me. If he's able to stay on the floor and be able to play against those, obviously height helps them on the offensive glass. He can hide himself a little bit, but if Draymond's hitting threes, if Jimmy's hitting threes, and he has to switch on Steph, it's going to be trouble for Rudy in Minnesota.
You're right, but I like going into the matrix on both of you guys, because you talk about that Minnesota will have to keep up with Steph's speed. He ran 1.97 miles yesterday, the most in his playoff tenure. That's correct. But I do think that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Anthony Edwards actually led the NBA this year in made threes. Where did he learn from? KD and Steph at the Olympics. So he's emulating his own idols. So yeah, I mean, as much as Steph moves, they're going to have to keep up with Ant-Man, who also is a physical beast as well.
And it's also just mind-blowing to me that we haven't mentioned the biggest factor in this game in Jimmy Butler. Minnesota hasn't seen a Golden State Warriors team with Jimmy Butler on it. He wasn't on the Warriors yet when the Warriors played Minnesota. So how Minnesota handles Jimmy Butler and how Jimmy Butler handles being back in Minnesota, it's interesting.
Today's clearly excited for him, and Draymond handling his emotions against someone like Anthony Edwards and Monsieur Rudy Gobert, who's certainly going to have something to say. So what you're saying, though, is like Steph Curry is like a Jon Snow, if you will.
Maybe. Or and then who's Daenerys? We gotta find someone.
This is too deep for me now. All right.
Tiếp tục móc. Rồi bây giờ sẽ nối cái phần màu đen này vào. Mình nối phần màu đen này vào nhé. Đây, nối vào đây. Siết dây lại. Đấy, sẽ được một cái hình như này. Gỡ thêm chút len để dùng nhá. Cái này là len ở trong lõi, mình nhét lại vào lõi đi. Không để một lúc hai cái đầu len ra đâu, nó sẽ dễ bị rối. Mình móc hàng tiếp theo, vẫn là màu đen. Đây, móc vào. Móc những mũi nửa kép nhé. Rồi móc tiếp này. Mình cứ móc luân phiên từng mũi. Đấy, mình sẽ móc được cái ô rộng như thế này. Móc tiếp những mũi tiếp theo nhé. Móc tiếp xuống. Mũi này hơi lỗi rồi. Mình móc lại nhá. Mình móc trượt mũi. Đấy, móc lại. Móc lần lượt cho đến hết. Rồi, mũi tiếp theo. Mũi tiếp này. Mũi nữa. Cứ lần lượt như thế này là được. Đấy, mình sẽ được những cái chỗ này lại bị hơi sai rồi. Mọi người cố gắng móc cho cái khoảng cách nó đều nhau nhé, thì nó mới đẹp nhé. Đây, móc lại. Đây, móc vào đây. Tiếp tục. Móc lần lượt như vậy là được. Đấy, sẽ được những cái ô rỗng như thế này. Móc tiếp nhá, móc vòng quanh cũng như vậy nha. Rồi, móc tiếp. Đây, móc vào.